Larry Holmes. 42 years of age. He challenges Holyfield and the calendar. Charlie Steiner is in Las Vegas at the beginning of a week that brings all sorts of interesting folk to town. Charles?
Thank you, Robert, and welcome to Las Vegas, Caesars Palace, where on Friday night, so get it on, Evander Holyfield and Larry Holmes for the heavyweight championship of the world. Holyfield worked out this morning in public over at the Sports Pavilion for about an hour, sparred a half a dozen rounds, not very hard rounds to be sure, but realistically speaking, by the time you reach Las Vegas, all the hard work is done. That's not to say he wasn't getting some coaching from his venerable trainer, George Benton. Indeed, he was. And while Holyfield was busy at work this morning, Larry Holmes was backstage, addressing a handful of media members, expressing no fear about Friday night's fight.
I don't care what Holyfield does. It don't even bother me. It don't even say, I've been knocked down, I've been knocked out. What can he do to me? Kill me? He don't hit that hard. I seen him beat up, wobbled around the ring a lot of times. It ain't nothing this man can do to me. I went in the fight with cut eyes. I went in the fight with one arm. I went in the fight with twisted ankles. I went in the fight with one hand. My hands hurt. So what more can happen to me?
You know, I feel the same way. As you know, it really don't matter what he do. But April 19, everybody get a chance to see what we both would do.
I got a lot of reasons to win. Not only fighting for the title and getting $7 million, but fighting for the title, winning the title, and getting $7 million, and winning it at 42 years old, defending it at 43 years old. I mean, you know, don't you know I'll be 43 years old when I defend my title against George Foreman, a 44-year-old man.
The heavyweights on the hoof. How much weight? We find out at the weigh-in live on Wednesday Sports Center at 7 Eastern Time.
Only Joe Louis held the title longer. Larry Holmes has always been a curious sort, claiming that he was always fighting for respect. But with his record, 54-3, 37 knockouts, and that 7.5-year championship run, it's curious as to why he felt he needed that respect. He always got it in the ring.
Larry Holmes was a perfect 29-0 before he was able to fight and win the heavyweight championship of the world 14 years ago last week. And despite injuring his left arm in training for that fight, he went the distance in one of the most thrilling fights of the 70s and won a close decision from Ken Norton.
There was no turning me back. That's the introduction that I got when I fought Kenny Norton. The fight that I needed for people to realize I was legit and I could be the champion that I wanted to be.
Holmes had been a sparring partner for Muhammad Ali in the mid-70s, then began a 7.5-year reign as a heavyweight champion of the world. Only Joe Louis had a longer championship run. While the heavyweight roster in the late 70s and early 80s was generally considered thin, Holmes took on all comers.
Was he one of the 2 or 3 great heavyweight champions of the 20th century? No. But that's not to demean him in any way. In his time, in his prime, he beat everybody they put in front of him. He never ducked anyone. He beat everybody. He beat most of those guys, the Bone Crusher Smiths and all the rest of them, decisively.
Holmes defended his title 21 times, but there were 3 bouts that were especially memorable in his tenure with the title. October 2nd, 1980, when Holmes was in the unenviable position of having to beat up his idol, friend, and mentor of fading Muhammad Ali, in a fight where Holmes would later admit he pulled his punches. A year and a half later, in one of the most eagerly anticipated championship fights of the 80s, Holmes TKO'd Jerry Cooney in the 13th round here at Caesars. It's always bothered Holmes that while he earned the largest paycheck of his career that night, $10 million, Cooney, the challenger, earned the exact same amount. September 21st, 1985, was a night that ended Holmes' reign as champion. He was attempting to equal Rocky Marciano's heavyweight record of winning his first 49 fights. But Michael Spinks won a controversial decision, and Holmes lost his composure after the fight.
Rocky couldn't carry my jockstrap.
That's right.
And I appreciate if Jerry Lister and anybody else, they try to run a computer fight, to put the truth in the machine and not some fantasy thing because people want a white hope. There will never be a white champion as long as black fighters fighting the way they are. They wanted something to pounce on Larry Holmes about, and they did. They pounced on me. I look back at saying that and regretting probably make an apology that I made, because what I said was nothing in jest. It was just something that I said. And they took it and blew it out of proportion.
7 months later, Holmes would lose another decision to Spinks, and he would retire. But a year and a half later, Holmes would come back and be knocked out by Mike Tyson in just 4 rounds. After another 3-year retirement, Holmes returned again, taking on 5 anonymous opponents, which led to his 12-round decision over Ray Mercer in February, which in turn led to what could be his last hurrah on Friday night.
He's a good teacher, and in my grammar school years, when we had a good teacher, to show our appreciation, we would bring an apple. And with this apple, I do want to give to the best teacher.
It's your right to cheer for Evander Holyfield and root for him and pray for him. But it is, when the bell rings, it's my right to knock his head off.
It's going to be a great fight, and you're going to really see history made. You're going to see a 42-year-old man regain his championship when people thought that was impossible. And I look forward to this fight, and I look forward to the vindication, in effect, of Larry Holmes.
They say I'm old and I'm gray, and I had my day, but they haven't seen nothing yet. I'm the Eastern Assassin, and I'm back.
I think there's a tendency to believe out there that Holyfield, anytime Holyfield steps in the ring, an upset can happen, and I think that's probably the case right now.
Even at 42, Larry Holmes has a hell of a shot on June 19th. That's because, A, I don't think Evander Holyfield hits hard enough to take him out. B, you can't miss Evander Holyfield. Because of A and B, C, Larry Holmes believes he's going to win. That kind of confidence that Holmes has usually means he's going to be in the fight. To make a prediction flat out who's going to win, I really can't. I think it's that close.
That's going to be a tough fight. I like both of the guys, but I would have, I would have to go. If I had anybody to choose, I would say, may the best man win.
I can only tell you, give you the strong points of both fighters. I think Larry Holmes' strong point is his ability to box. His ability to use the left hand, to work off the left hand. Holyfield, his strong points, he had power in both hands, left hook and right hand. But his strong points is to get inside.
If Evander comes in with a clear mind and a good attitude, I think he would win, because when he puts his mind to something, he goes in there and establishes what he has to do and gets it over with.
Well, speaking of striking, the man promoting the latest bridging of boxing's generation gap shot the messengers on Tuesday, hoping to strike the fear of a managing editor into the media. Bob Arum banged the podium on a call for more hype. Charlie Steiner was there as Holmes and Holyfield posed in preparation.
Heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield and 42-year-old challenger Larry Holmes posing for pictures following Tuesday morning's final press conference before Friday night's heavyweight championship. At the press conference, Holmes promoter Bob Arum expressed his frustration over the lack of attention and the lack of excitement leading up to this fight. And he assessed the blame at the doorstep of the media.
I think, my God, this is a heavyweight championship of the world. This is the boxing equivalent of the Super Bowl or the World Series.
Certainly that would not be the problem if Mike Tyson was involved in this promotion. But of course, Mike Tyson is out of sight But for Evander Holyfield, he's certainly not out of mind.
I would love to go up there and just talk to him and let him know that, that's from the friendship of my heart from the time I met him. And it's not about this heavyweight title. It's not about money. I want him to get out for money because it's not about that. And a lot of people trying to portray it about money. It's never been about money with me fighting. I love the game of boxing. And we were boxing. I would still go in the attitude, I want to win because I want to be my very best. But other than that, I respect him as a man, and I hate to see a young man be put in jail. And I'm hoping that while he's there, that he can come back and rebound from it.
But of course, Mike Tyson is not a part of this promotion. 42-year-old Larry Holmes is.
It's 6 a.m., Heights Gym, Houston, Texas. Trainers George Benton and Lou Duver look on as heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield works on the best conditioned body in boxing. Tradition dictates that boxers run early in the morning and train in the afternoon. Evander, however, has good reason to break from that tradition.
When I wanted to make the Olympic team, I said to myself, well, I'm going to start getting up early in the morning, start working, start doing all the hard work before the distraction come about. And, it's easy right now, me being a heavyweight champion of the world, to be distracted.
His distraction these days is former heavyweight champion of the world, Larry Holmes. For 7.5 years, Holmes reigned over the heavyweight division, dating back to June 1978, when he won the title from Ken Norton.
We went 15 rounds of fighting. No slacking off. We fought for 15 rounds. And it was a great fight. That's the night I won the championship. So that was history in the making for me.
He went on to defend that title 20 times, amassing a record of 48-0. Holmes was threatening Rocky Marciano's 49-0 record when he took on 1976 Olympic gold medalist Michael Spinks. After a hard-fought battle and a unanimous decision, Spinks was handed the title. Unjustly for Larry, the legacy of his long and distinguished career seemed to hang on a few words blurted out in anger at the post-fight press conference.
Rocky can carry my jockstrap.
He returned 7 months later, only to lose a second controversial decision to Spinks. Once again, he lashed out in anger at a system he felt betrayed him.
I can say to the judges, the referees, the promoters, the kids for the sun don't shine. And since we're on HBO, that's my big black behind. If people want to go around and be aggravated for things that I said, and lose sleep over the things I said, that's their problem. I can't worry about it. I got a life of my own. I have a family. I just got to continue to go forward and keep trying to do the right thing and not get hurt.
Holmes left boxing until January of 1988, when he made his return against one of the most devastating punchers in ring history.
Take the Mike Tyson situation. Everybody said, boy, Mike Tyson beat you up.
That was a right hand, and down goes Holmes from a crashing right hand.
He didn't beat me up. He just came out and knocked me out and got on out the ring. There was no long beating.
Meanwhile, Evander Holyfield was fighting his way to the top of the boxing ranks. After winning the bronze medal in the '84 Olympics, Holyfield turned pro in November of that year. It would be 6 long undefeated years until he won the heavyweight title in October of 1990 when he knocked out newly crowned champion James Buster Douglas. In April of '91, Holyfield was still being labeled as too small to fight as a heavyweight. Having undergone the most comprehensive training in boxing, once again he proved the critics wrong. This time he was to face Big George Foreman. It was 12 grueling rounds of toe-to-toe action. When the smoke cleared, Evander had won a unanimous decision.
Man showed that, he wasn't going to take anything lightly. And that proved that, he wasn't over and he had that desire to win.
The greatest threat to Evander's title came in his own hometown of Atlanta at the hands of Bert Cooper.
Once he hit me that shot, I'm like, bam, but then it hurt. I just didn't have no control of my body. And then, I was able to show them that, a champion is one who can take a lick.
You are the champion that you claim that you are. Show the world that you won all and can gain all the respect that a champion should get.
And it's bout time. TVKO's Fight of the Month, the main event, the heavyweight championship of the world. Evander Holyfield defending his title against Larry Holmes, hoping to regain the crown. It's time to get it on, as Mills Lane will say in just moments from now. And to call the action at ringside, as always, let's go now to Lynn Berman. Lynn?
Thank you, Cameron. And Larry Holmes. Larry Jr. in front of him. It's amazing to think that he won the title here in Las Vegas way back in 1978. Split decision over Ken Norton. Was the champion for 7 years. And there's a lot of history involved tonight. Only Archie Moore was older, fighting for the title. And of course, he got to this night with a surprising win over the previously undefeated Ray Mercer.
With Ray Mercer, a young lion. I was 5-1 underdog to lose. I could never beat a Ray Mercer. But I think he's one of the best fighters out there. The name of the game is to have fun.
Holmes is talking on camera. He's carrying on his own commentary. We should stop talking, Joe.
But I showed them that Larry Holmes, the master, can teach things that these guys never had learned. Not only to teach, but to fight and the will to survive.
The granddaddy of all heavyweights, a grandfather of two, as he starts to make his way toward the ring here in the outdoor arena at Caesars Palace. As you see, attempting to become the oldest fighter to win a heavyweight championship. In fact, he would be the oldest to win in any division. And as we mentioned earlier, trying to become the fourth to regain the title. Floyd Patterson twice, Floyd Patterson once, Muhammad Ali twice, and Tim Witherspoon. And, you know, Joe, this is his 25th title fight, which ties Muhammad Ali. Only Joe Louis had more at 27.
Well, Larry Holmes really ranks up there. If you look at the history of the heavyweights, he holds or is in the top three of almost every record that the heavyweights have held. He's in almost every single one of them, all the departments. So, you know, he's been a great fighter his whole life. No matter what happens tonight, he has been a credit to boxing. 20 title defenses over 7.5 years when he was champion.
Remember, in Atlantic City, the crowd was very neutral, if not negative, towards Holmes in the beginning. And by the end of the fight, they were yelling, Larry, Larry.
They weren't neutral. They were downright disdainful of Larry Holmes coming into that fight. That was a Ray Mercer town. And by the end of the fight, they were all on Larry Holmes' side.
That's the setting. It has cooled off here in the Las Vegas night. Well, it was 100-degree temperatures earlier. Breezes going through the arena as Larry Holmes heads towards the ring at Caesars Palace. He enters the ring a 3-4-1 underdog. With 37 knockouts. This is his 7th comeback fight. We mentioned that number 7 earlier, as well as his fights averaged 7 rounds over his long career. The over-under for this fight, 7.5 rounds. He's been knocked down twice in the 7th round. The both Snipes and Shavers came back to win both in 11. So the number 7, very predominant in the history of Larry Holmes. Of course, 7 is a big number here in Las Vegas. All right, Goosen's Corner to the champion, Evander Holyfield.
All right, Evander Holyfield, I mean, he looks so well chiseled for this fight. He's got to pressure Larry Holmes. He's got to attack to the body, something that Ray Mercer didn't do, at least until it was a little too late. Punching combinations. When Holmes punches, he's got to punch back in combinations, outspeed Larry Holmes.
And here comes the champion. This is his third title defense. And he won his heavyweight belt October the 25th, 1990. A third-round knockout of the vanquisher of Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas.
I was saying to myself, this is my round. And he threw the uppercut, and I jumped in with a right hand, and when I hit him, and he had fell, and I went to the corner, and I just said, stay down. Stay the hell.
And the new undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Holyfield.
And we're back live since that victory over Douglas. The decision over George Foreman in April of '91. And then the Burt Cooper fight. Cooper taking it on short notice. Nearly had Holyfield out in the third round. Mills Lane, the referee that night, as he was this night. Eventually, Holyfield winning in 7. But it's interesting to note that Holyfield's had just 7 rounds in the last 422 days. So it's been a somewhat controversial reign as he is fighting for respect. But the bottom line on Evander Holyfield is, as he enters the ring, all he does is win. (27-0) with 22 knockouts. And there's Mills Lane, circuit court judge, who's our referee tonight. And the tail of the tape for tonight's heavyweight championship fight. Obviously, the difference in age is the first thing that will strike you. 13 years. Similar in height, although Holmes certainly does seem to be more than half an inch taller than Holyfield. Holmes, of course, 23 pounds heavier and has that reach advantage. And of course, we'll keep our eye on that left jab of Holmes. In the CompuBox statistics, Joe.
All right, there's a four-fight average. Of course, Holmes, we're including the illustrious Michael Greer and Art Card in those 4 fights that he has there. Evander Holyfield, of course, throws a lot of punches along with Holmes, but the connect percentage here just barely edged out Holmes by a couple percent. The punches landed here is the key for Holyfield. He's a lot busier, and he lands a lot more punches than Holmes does. Holmes is a lot more particular about the punches he throws. Here, jabs is a 4-fight average, of course. Holmes is this is the big stat right here. How many jabs per round? He's going to have to keep that on Holyfield. Keep him out there. If he can do that, land a higher percentage of jabs, he's going to be in this fight tonight.
As some of the fans start to chant Larry. Our rules tonight, same as the previous fight. 10-point must system, and Holmes leading the cheers in the ring, waving his fist. No standing 8 count. 3 knockdown rule is in effect. Saved by the bell, and only the 12th and final round that goes that far. Only the referee can stop the fight. So we are ready to go. Let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, Main Events Monitor Productions, Top Rank Incorporated, and the undisputed, undefeated King of Beer, Budweiser, present the featured bout of the evening. This bout is dedicated to the memory of Chuck Minker. It is sanctioned by the WBA, the WBC, and the IBF, with the approval and sanctioning of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Chairman Luther Mack, Commissioners Nat Carasali, Dr. Elias Ghanem, Bruce Wayne, and Dr. James Nave, Chief Inspector Mark Ratner, Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Flip Pomansky, attending physicians, Dr. William Berliner and Dr. Robert Boyd. The timekeepers, Mike Lachella, counting for the knockdown seconds, Al Bisick. The scoring for this bout will be done on a 10-point must system, and the 3 judges assigned to ringside are Carol Castellano, Glenn Hamada, and Chuck Jampa. And once the bell rings, the man in charge of all the action working for the 66th time in a world title bout, Mills Lane. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the site where legends are made, Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada, get ready to rumble! 12 rounds of boxing for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the white trunks with red trim and weighing in at 233 pounds. His overall career totals are 54 victories against only 3 defeats, with 37 KOs to his credit. For 7.5 years, he ruled the division, making 15 defenses of the title. Tonight, he returns to Caesar's Palace, where he won it all in 78. Ladies and gentlemen, from Easton, Pennsylvania, the challenger, former heavyweight champion of the world, the Easton Captain, Larry Holmes. And his opponent fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the gold trunks with white trim, weighing in at an even 210 pounds. In 1984. Olympic bronze medalist, was the first of the great 84 team to win a world title, becoming cruiserweight champion in only his 13th bout as a professional. Since moving up to the heavyweight division, he's maintained a perfect record, which now totals 27 victories without a defeat, 22 by KO. Ladies and gentlemen, from Atlanta, Georgia, the two-time world champion and current undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Real Deal Holyfield.
All right, gentlemen, this is for the championship of the world. You've been through all the instructions. It's a tough, clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. Any questions from Mr. Holmes or his corner? Any questions, Mr. Holyfield's corner? Let's get it on.
Holmes tried to stare at him, and Holyfield just smiled. And earlier, Larry trying to take the mic from Michael Buffer and tell him how many championship fights he's had. As you see the disparity in championship rounds, Larry winking to some people at ringside, both very relaxed.
Well, that's going to change in about another 5 seconds because they won't have time for grabbing mics or smiling at each other. They're going to get down to business, and here we go.
Holyfield going right at Holmes. Said he wants Holmes to be active. He doesn't want him to be in a defensive posture. Holyfield said he's been most successful with boxers who have fought him.
And what he means by that, Len, is he likes a fighter to open up with him and trade punches with him because really that's where Holyfield has been most successful. When Douglas opened up with him, caught him with a good counter punch. Dokes, of course, in that wild fight they had right here, he opened up and knocked him out finally in the 10th round, I believe. So that's one of the things that Evander enjoys, a good brawl.
You see Holyfield easily ducking the punches of Larry Holmes here in the early going. Holyfield goes to the body. Remember, George Foreman was able to land many punches on Holyfield. Of course, you know what Bert Cooper was able to do in that 3rd round. We'll get to see what Larry Holmes can do as far as landing punches. A minute gone in the 1st. There goes Holmes sticking out that left hand of his, as he's wont to do.
Of course, in that fight against George Foreman, we saw Evander Holyfield in those mid-rounds land some of the most exceptional combinations that I've seen thrown, really, especially by a big man, a big heavyweight.
Holmes went to the right hand. Didn't do much damage. Holyfield's been working the body a bit. Now he comes with the overhand right. Goes to the body with the jab. Holyfield doing some body work midway through the 1st round.
As I mentioned before, that was something that Ray Mercer didn't do throughout the fight against Larry Holmes, and was doing that, headhunting and throwing some wild punches like that. But Holyfield obviously learned from that, and he's going downstairs right off the bat.
Holyfield has been in command nearly 2 minutes into the round. Left hand from Evander. Well, as Holmes said to the camera, he was no Tommy Morrison against Mercer. He's quickly learned that Evander Holyfield is no Ray Mercer here.
It's a very good point. Evander Holyfield really is fighting the right fight, putting pressure on, and putting Larry Holmes in a defensive posture throughout this 1st round.
Holmes has yet to land a good blow. It's been Evander Holyfield here in the 1st round. blow from Holmes. A low blow. Mills Lane's will warn him.
Well, Mills Lane got a little bit more upset about that low blow than Evander Holyfield did. It's as if it never even landed. Holyfield came right back after Holmes.
Holmes' punch is blocked. Holyfield finishes off with a left. Another one. That's the round. Seemed a bit long, but that's the round to Holyfield.
Give me a little bit more angle. I got you. Give him a little bit more angle.
All right. Here we go. I think we're going to show in a few seconds here a little replay of that right hand landed by Larry Holmes at the end of the round. It was about the only punch he threw and landed. Thing right there on the nose of Evander Holyfield. Didn't seem to bother Evander much because he came right out of it with a nice left hook that fell a little short. There's that right hand. And if we would have gone on a little further, we would have seen Evander come out of that crouch with a left hook.
Didn't come back after him.
Well, Holyfield's not the type of guy that says, I'm not going to come over after you and go to the middle of the ring and wait for him. He's going to take the attack right to Holmes like he's doing right now. This is shades of the Ali rope-a-dope right here that Holmes is trying to employ. And throw a nice right hand off of Holyfield's chin.
And the crowd roaring. They thought that Holyfield was staggered. But Holyfield now coming back. The right hand from Holmes. Holyfield content to dig his head in here in the second round. Oh, Holmes with the right uppercut.
The right uppercut that landed a little low. Of course, Mills Lane on the other side didn't see it, but snuck that one in a little low.
Content to stay in the corner, and Holmes scoring. Now Holyfield backs off. At least Holyfield consistent in all of his defenses. He takes punches. Many of them. Look at Holmes looking down towards the commentators.
Well, he's looking directly at George Foreman, the man he has eyes for as far as if he wins this fight, that's the man he wants to fight. Larry Holmes wants to fight George Foreman.
And he's giving it to Evander Holyfield more than he's getting.
And right now he's fighting Evander Holyfield quite well right here in the corner.
Final seconds of the second round. George Foreman working tonight's bout for HBO on tape delay. And a big smile. He's looking down. No. Duva says go to the other corner, and Holmes pats him on the head. Larry enjoying himself.
Wow, he's got to be feeling pretty good about himself right now, Larry Holmes.
Stay out of his corner. Understand? Stay out of his corner.
Let the guy run out of gas on you. Okay? Now give me that good jab.
All right, here we go. Back to the corner here. This could have been any point in time. There was that low blow I was talking about. Followed it with a right uppercut. Threaded the needle there. A little right hand chopping to the ear, two of them. It's exactly what he did against Ray Mercer in Atlantic City. Same sequence, but different angle. The double uppercut, two chopping right hands.
And Lou Duva, while you're watching the replay, screaming at Holyfield, stop fighting his fight. Third round. Now they're in the middle of the ring. And Holmes goes to his hammer. The jab. A strong second round for the 42-year-old. With the combination.
Holmes is just so good at really deflecting punches and parrying punches. He's quite surprising at the speed that they're coming at him at, that he's able to really coordinate his hands and parry a lot of those punches from Evander Holyfield. Of course, Holyfield waiting for the one that he isn't able to parry that can maybe start off a rally for himself here. But right now, Holmes is really fighting a beautiful offensive and defensive fight.
And Holyfield trying to set it up with a jab. He did not jab as much as his corner wanted against Cooper. Trying to be more effective with it to set up that right hand here tonight. There it is, the right hand. And it was a big one. And another one from Holyfield.
Holmes' eyes are clear, though. He absorbed that quite well. He was looking right at his man in front of him.
Two big right hands absorbed by Larry Holmes. Holmes puts his hands down momentarily. Feeling is that Holmes lowers that jab at times. He can go over the top with the right. Holyfield did connect twice there. Holmes missing as he tries to come out with the right hand. Inside of a minute remaining in the third. Holyfield connects with the left hook. And Holmes taking it all.
Well, Larry Holmes has fought off the ropes in the last 2 rounds, but it looked like he was doing better in the corner than he was in the middle of the ropes in the middle of the round, even though he just caught Holyfield with 2 short right hands.
And Holmes was smiling moments ago, almost in disdain. Oh! He's fighting at Holyfield. 12 seconds to go in the round. Holmes staring at Holyfield, looking at him, a half smirk at times. Holmes has taken as good as Holyfield had in that third round.
You got to back him up with that left jab. You got to step in with the left jab when you're up against the rope. Get my angle and step in. You got him reaching around you, Larry. Straight punches going to beat into the front.
All right, here we go. Let's go back to the action. This is the right hand that started, that was the first good right hand that Holyfield landed. And, of course, it looks like Holmes took it well. He's got his eyes focused here. And a little chopping right hand over the top. Holmes pulling him down, but it didn't hurt him as much as that right hand looked as big as it was. It didn't do that much damage. Holmes is clear right there. He took the verbal scoring at this point as far as this round is concerned.
Now they come over to this corner. Holyfield backs off this time. Larry wants to stay in that corner. Now Holmes comes to him. Holmes is Holyfield's corner wants him to move away and back off and not stay here. And now he moves away. Coming down to a minute to go in the fourth. Larry, and then look out the little elbow and the right hand from Holmes.
Good right hand, left hook, uppercut, and Holmes is really doing quite well against the ropes. And this is obviously the reason why Lou Duva wants Holyfield to take the fight to the center of the ring.
Holmes again, effective with the right hand. The odd number rounds have gone to Holyfield thus far. The even number rounds, Holmes has been better, operating from the corners. Holyfield lands with the left and then comes back to the body. Holmes just holding his shoulders.
Right? By holding his shoulders, he stops his arms from coming forward and right mumbles a lot of punches.
A couple of low blows in there from Larry as well. Uppercut from Holmes in the right hand, and then Holyfield goes after him in the final seconds of the fourth.
He does, but Holmes blocked everything that Holyfield came back with.
Not that one. Overhand right from Holyfield. Exciting end to the fourth round. And with 4 rounds complete, our guest judge, heavyweight contender Lennox Lewis. How do you score it, Lennox?
Three rounds to Holmes and 2 rounds to 1 round to Holmes.
3 rounds to Holyfield. You gave Holyfield that last round there, Lennox?
I gave 3 rounds to Holyfield and 1 round to Holmes. So the score is 39-30.
Now the chance of Larry at Caesars Palace as we start the 5th round in the middle of the ring. Larry landed the right, and then Holyfield landed.
Holmes stepped in with a jab right hand that really had a lot of vicious intent on it, and of course Holyfield wrote it out and tried to come back with his own counter right hand.
It was more of what Holyfield would like, exchanges off the ropes. It seems to be the way we've been operating in the odd-numbered rounds. Larry conserving the energy. Holyfield utilizing it more. Nearly a minute gone in the 5th. Holmes with the jabs. One connected, one grazed. Holyfield works the body with the right and the head with the left.
Holmes is very, very clever. I mean, he is rolling with these punches. He's dipping and using his elbows to block the body shots. And landed a 1-2. Landed a great right hand and wobbled Holyfield a little bit right there.
And Holyfield comes back with a right of his own. Well, even that big right hand in the 3rd round from Holyfield, Holmes was turning on it.
That's right, and that's why I said it didn't look like it affected his eyes. You got to look into a fighter's eyes. And there goes that counter right hand.
And a good combination from Holyfield. Holmes started it, and Holyfield came back and finished it.
That's right. Holmes led with the right hand, and Holyfield came back. Something Mercer did not do in that fight, as we go back to that fight as an example. And also threw the left hook off that right hand. Holyfield came out with the right hand and left hook to counter punch and turned Larry Holmes here in the corner.
Holmes with a good right hand out of the corner. You can see why Lou Duva wants Holyfield to dance away as he's doing now. He wants Holmes to come out after him.
Well, Holmes can come out and just lead Holyfield right back to the corner again if he so desires.
Connected with the right, Holmes did. Working the body again, Holyfield is as the 5th round wanes. Again, Holmes smiling down and now talking to George Foreman. Larry doing some running commentary of his own in the 5th round.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm quite...
He's reaching. Shot. Knock it.
I shouldn't say I'm surprised, but I really am in awe of what a great account Larry Holmes is giving of himself right now. It's a back-and-forth battle at this point.
It ain't long. Start stepping to him with that jab. Touching him. Walking down.
Be careful you don't run into nothing. All you gotta do is just give me that jab. All right, now look, drink this water.
Go through 5 rounds in the 8th round. Not as eventful as some of the earlier ones. A quiet 8th round. Not bleeding profusely, Joe. The blood is welled up, but I think they did a pretty decent job in the last break in this corner.
Of course, Evander for the first 2 minutes and 2.5 minutes of this round really has been doing all the fighting in this round, and
Holyfield breathing heavier than Holmes at this point. Yes. This is rather amazing in the final seconds of the 8th round.
He's got a lot to deal with, especially with this cut.
Well, those who bet the over went more than midway through the 8th. Lennox Lewis through 8 rounds. How have you scored it for us tonight?
So far, I've scored 5 rounds for Holyfield and 2 rounds for Holmes and 1 draw. Holmes is gaining a lot of ground.
All right. So a 3-point edge, according to Lennox Lewis. Did you see the replay? It looked like an elbow to you, too?
Yeah, that was an unlucky shot. Definitely.
Put your foot in front of his and push him back now. Now's your time. Hit him with this left hook. Step him up.
Well, that should be the 8th round, rather than round 0. Most important man here tonight, Ace Murata, the cut man in Holyfield's corner. Right now, he has it stopped as we begin the 9th round.
Don Turner urging Larry Holmes to come out and fight a little bit more. He knows he probably dropped that round by really being virtually, he threw very few punches in that round, and Holyfield definitely took that round by virtue of his pressure and his body work. But Holmes has got to get busy if he wants to get back in this fight and rack up some more points.
Holyfield scoring. Larry trying to shake some moisture off the bottom of his shoe. He came out dripping wet. They must have poured a gallon of water over him during that break. His trunks are soaking. And Holyfield working the jab. The action is slowed here in the last couple of rounds. And Holyfield swings and misses, and his own momentum took him down. Ruled a slip, of course. Holyfield going for the big roundhouse, and they touch gloves.
Well, surprising Holmes, with as well as he did early on, is really kind of not being as active as he should be if he wants to win the World Heavyweight Championship. He's kind of letting it slide out of his hands here, and he's abandoned the rope-a-dope or the stuff in the corner that was working so well for him.
He's abandoned just about everything in this round, you know. Very little jabbing from him, very little of anything. Maybe Holyfield sensed it and went for that one big knockout punch. Judging a round like this, it's really the man who carries the action. And up to this point, it's Holyfield.
That's right.
He snaps Holmes' head back with another jab. Oh, and Larry counters with a right hand. And a rare left hook from Holmes. Inside of a minute to go in the 9th.
This is what I pointed out at the beginning of the fight. Larry Holmes had to be prepared to go 12 rounds, 3 minutes a round, and he's really not doing that. He's fading a little bit here. He's trying to steal the round by coming out at the end of the round here, the last minute, and it's being somewhat successful. He's being somewhat successful with it. But to win over the judges, and he's had bad luck here in Vegas, especially with the Spinks fights, he better get on the ball if he wants to win this fight.
Little trickle coming out of the cut over the right eye. And Holmes now the man breathing harder, so maybe the last 3 rounds conditioning will tell in the warm Las Vegas night. It's no longer hot. Holyfield cracks a right hand, and really his advantage in this round based on his activity in taking the fight to Holmes.
Exactly right, Len.
It's a 3-round fight, an amateur fight coming. You got to step to your left and hit him with you got the shot. You got the shot.
You understand? You're the champion. You ain't got to prove nothing, right? You fight a smart fight.
I got it.
This is what you do. Now, that was a good round. You jabbed him to death. Keep it going. So as long as you're moving around, the guy can't do nothing to you. Common sense would make you keep doing it, right?
Step to your left and throw it. Shot.
Only 4 times has Evander Holyfield fought into the 10th round as a professional. 22 times for Larry Holmes, but obviously he was a younger man at the time. Here we go, round number 10. An amateur fight, as they said in the corner, meaning 3 rounds to go. This is for the undisputed heavyweight championship. And really a lull has settled over. Crowd waiting for something to happen which isn't the last couple of rounds.
Well, Larry Holmes may have been cruising these past couple rounds to save it, to turn it on these last few rounds here and maybe steal the show or try to go for a knockout somehow, and I think that's what he needs because Holyfield's taken the last few rounds.
You saw right there, Holyfield would not go into the corner with him, and now he's backing off the ropes a little bit. But worked very effectively in the second and fourth rounds for Larry Holmes. Hasn't really worked since. And the most telling blow thus far was in the sixth round. What we think is an unintentional elbow from Larry Holmes right at the end of the round. Bleeding has been stopped. Credit Ace Murata for that.
Beautiful job. With an occasional right hand downstairs from Larry Holmes also right there. The tactics of Larry Holmes throughout this fight, the defensive tactics, have really taken its worn out of Evander Holyfield. He's really had to expend a lot of MGs, missed a lot of punches, had a lot blocked, and it shows right here. He just doesn't look as vigorous as he should, really, with the amount of resistance he's gotten from Larry Holmes offensively.
But the offense has just about ceased over the last couple of rounds from Larry Holmes.
Well,
and a few boos from the crowd as they also sense the inactivity amongst these two heavyweights going for the title. And if it continues like this and finishes up a decision, and should Holyfield win, all the same questions will go unanswered about Evander Holyfield. As I watch this, I'm wondering if Mike Tyson meant what he said the other night, that he's not interested in boxing and doesn't want to fight. And I'm wondering if he is not watching this in Indiana tonight behind bars and what he might be thinking. Inside of 30 seconds remaining in the 10th round. Of course, they may not have pay-per-view behind bars at America's institutions, Joe.
No, they just have basic cable there.
Ah, I see. So much of the same through the 8th, 9th, and 10th round, much to the disappointment of a nearly sellout crowd at Caesars Palace.
All right, now listen. Stay busy with that jab. You know what I'm saying? Stay busy with the jab. Don't stand still. All right, no problem. And bring him off them ropes. You understand? All right.
Well, they're giving Evander Holyfield tactical advice in the corner. I think at this point, he needs more than that. I think he needs a pep talk to go in and try to get a knockout.
Lennox Lewis, take it away through 10.
Holyfield, I gave 7 rounds. Holmes, 2 and 1 draw. If I was Holmes, I would be going after that cut desperately.
Well, at this point, Holmes isn't really going after much. And the reason I say Holyfield should be going after a knockout, not because he's behind on the scorecard, but because he's really got to do something here to win over the fans and make them forget about this dull fight here.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm following up on that, and you're 100% right.
Lennox Lewis, your mic is open now, so feel free to join in the commentary here in the 11th round, and we'll see what the tactics are as less than 6 minutes now remain in the title fight.
Oh, a beautiful right hand by Larry Holmes. Another one, and those really have Evander a little wobbly, even though he's still moving forward. Those have him shaken.
One of Holmes' better punches tonight. It comes in the 11th round. Maybe he was saving himself in the last 3.
Well, I'll tell you, Evander's really laboring right now. He doesn't look like he's ready to fight back after these right hands. He's not counterpunching. He's kind of falling backwards. I think Larry Holmes should really be turning it on right here.
If he can, that's the question. And Evander Holyfield's right eye a little bit closed as he goes with the left hand. Does Holmes have a left for that assault, Joe? That's the question.
Holmes should definitely step up the pace.
Right, he's got Evander with his mouth open. He's really not doing much. He's waiting for something to happen. Holmes has got to let it hang out because he's probably, you know, this fight, he's probably not in all the way. I'm sure the scoring has got to be in Holyfield's favor at this point. He's got to do something big to win it.
He came out with a big right hand in the start of the 11th, but hasn't followed up. Holyfield still content to work the body with 1:15 remaining in the 11th. Oh, Holmes says, come on, puts his hands down, come after me, and Holyfield just stands there. Draw a line in the sand, guys.
Holyfield is the champion. He's looking a little tired out there.
Well, this is exactly what happened to him a year last April against George Foreman, of course. At the end, it was Evander Holyfield that was really looked the more fatigued of the two. Both of them were very tired, but Evander the more fatigued of the two.
The crowd again starts the Larry chant as we come up on 35 seconds remaining in the 11th. Connects with the right hand. Holyfield tries to go back after him, but another good right hand from the challenger.
A couple good right hands by Holmes, and he bailed out with a left hook. And of course, we got a little time, I think, a little tape on the glove of Larry Holmes. You're getting hit with all that leather, and they stop it in a nice flurry like that for a little piece of tape.
And that helps Evander Holyfield at that moment. Going to fix that tape. Not a split glove as there was during the Cooper fight. Just a little tape job. See the blood there by the right eye. I think Holyfield might have enjoyed that little break. Final seconds of the 11th round. And a good Larry Holmes.
Another good 1-2 from Larry Holmes. Comes out with a couple more. Holmes definitely took that round big. Landed a good 7-8 good right hands during that round.
And it brings the crowd to life.
Last round, baby. This guy's going to try to throw bombs at you. He's going to watch the vote. You understand? So 3 minutes, baby. 3 minutes. 3 minutes, baby. 3 minutes in the news. I got to knock him out. You going to knock him out?
Here we go with a little replay here. We got Holmes, of course. We got a little frozen action there. And here's Holmes missing a hook and stepping to the side, coming back with a chopping right hand.
Did you hear what Larry said there? I've got to knock him out. That was Holmes saying.
He knows it, and he's the only rational one really right now in that corner because they're telling him 3 minutes, and really what he needs is a knockout in this fight. Holmes, 56% of the, I don't know if that was jabs or punches, but it was 56% of something. But Larry Holmes does need a knockout to win this fight.
Touch gloves for the 12th and final round for the World Heavyweight Championship. Holyfield abandoning the jab there in the 11th. Holmes will be going for the knockout. He knows himself he needs it.
There's that jab landing on that cut, and it did reopen it again. A little blood starting to trickle out, but I think the 3 minutes, the doctors and the referee will let this fight go on, regardless of how much blood comes out of that cut during this round.
Of course, Holmes thinks he needs the knockout, but when it goes to judges' scorecards, you just don't know how close it might be at this point.
Nice left hook to the liver by Holyfield, following a couple of shots to the head.
Holyfield, left hook connects.
One of the things that can happen when you get a little desperate and need a knockout like Holmes does or thinks he does, you leave yourself vulnerable to maybe some strong shots by Holyfield.
Look at the laughing from Larry Holmes. Now he goes into a bit of an Ali movement as Holyfield was landing there, and Holmes was showing disdain, but he has to show more than that here with 1:40 remaining.
That's right, and by laying on the ropes and Holyfield not obliging him, nothing's going to happen for Larry Holmes. He's got to press it like he did with that right hand, and that was a nice shot. Well, I'll tell you, he's landed some beautiful right hands on Holyfield. Either Larry Holmes doesn't have the same starch he did on his right hand years ago, or Holyfield's chin, as we well know, is a real, real good one.
Remarkable that the 13-year age difference and They're breathing about the same here with 1:12 to go in a 12-round fight.
Oh! Two more right hands, a long one and a short one on the inside, landed by Holmes. You know, you got to ask yourself, are the judges maybe going to remember how Holmes may have gotten jobbed in that last Spinks fight, which I think he did, and maybe try to make it up to him a little bit?
I think that's a reach, Joe.
I don't know.
It's a long time ago.
Well, let me tell you something. We saw something like that happen with the fight recently against Tommy Hearns and Iran Barkley. They, in my estimation, gave Tommy Hearns a lot more credit in that fight than they should have against Barkley.
Based on overall reputation, but not one specific incident. Here we go with 33 seconds remaining. Larry Holmes coming on strong in the 11th and 12th after resting in 8 through 10. Couple good hooks by Holyfield with the left hand. And this fight ending in a flurry, and Holyfield with the left. It has Holmes up against the ropes, and Holmes trying to battle out of there with 15 seconds to go. Both looking for one big punch, and now Holyfield backs off.
It's Holmes who runs Holyfield off the ropes here. He only had 15 seconds left. He should fight to the finish here and ensure the victory for himself.
And Holyfield ends bleeding, and the two of them, well, finally, Holyfield the one to put an arm around Holmes. Holmes, as George Foreman did before him, takes the champion the distance. And now we'll go to the scorecards. One judge from the state of Washington, one from New York City, and one from here in Las Vegas. So they continue to tend to that cut. Opened up, we think, by an inadvertent elbow at the end of the 6th round. There were no knockdowns. Holyfield's biggest punches landed in the 3rd, and Larry Holmes had his moments throughout and came on strong, particularly in the 11th and 12th rounds. And as you see, Lennox Lewis gave the last 2 rounds to Larry Holmes. So on Lennox's unofficial scorecard, he has Holyfield a 3-point winner. But the fight not quite going the way most of the experts predicted. Most people said that Holyfield would win. I'd say the predominant feeling was he would stop Larry Holmes in perhaps the 7th or 8th rounds. Well, this one went the full 12.
The shot you hit him with a knockdown of 3. I was there to survive. He didn't want to fight. I told him to fight that way.
That was Duva's point of view. Question still remains on the knockout power potential of Evander Holyfield, now through 3 defenses. And a smile from Larry Holmes and a hug. And we'll check out some final statistics. Total punches in the fight. Evander Holyfield threw a lot more, landed 40 more. Holmes's connect percentage as a result a little bit higher because Holmes threw less, but Evander Holyfield certainly the aggressor, and that comes into effect with number of punches landed as well when it's scored. Jabs in the fight. Evander Holyfield threw a bit more, and quite even. So Holyfield and Holmes even there, and we still await the judge's decision, which will tell us if Evander Holyfield retains his title.
Let's get the decision. Let's get the decision.
And we're ready now for the decision, everyone. Michael Buffer.
We go to the scorecards. Chuck Giampa scores about 116 to 112. That's the same score, 116 to 112 from Carol Castellano. And Glenn Hamada has it, 117 to 111 for the winner by unanimous decision, and still the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Real Deal Holyfield. Ladies and gentlemen,
So just about as we saw it, Evander Holyfield retains his title, and now we'll look forward to the winner of the Riddick-Bowe-Pierre Kutzer fight coming up in July. And that championship fight may very well wind up in November to be Evander Holyfield versus either Bowe or Kutzer. That's the way it looks right now. And Larry Holmes still may have a fight down the road with George Foreman. Holmes is not finished yet, despite a 12-round decision loss to Evander Holyfield. And Joe Goosen standing by in the ring with the champion. Joe?
All right, I'm here with the still champion Evander Holyfield. Evander, this was a difficult fight for you tonight, was it not?
First of all, I'd like to thank God, the Lord Jesus Christ, my Savior, the Holy Spirit, and I'm dedicating this fight to my brother. No, the fight wasn't easy. I didn't come in thinking the fight was easy. Larry Holmes proved that he's a crafty fighter, had a great defense, and it's hard to figure him out. And a lot of shots that I hit, he was just able to shoot.
Well, as I was calling it, it seemed like he rode out a lot of your punches. He parried a lot of punches and blocked a lot of punches. Of course, it seemed like you were the more active fighter. Did that seem to tire you out, him blocking and parrying a lot of punches?
No, it didn't tire me out. I knew I had to fight a cautious fight because a lot of my punches wasn't landing because it was slipping off his arm. Seemed like he had his body very moist and couldn't get a lot of good body shots to him. And it just showed that he's a very crafty fighter. And I wasn't giving out a gas. I knew I just had to not concentrate on just trying to knock him out, but concentrate mostly on the win.
What happened there along the ropes when that flash of, I think it was his elbow that hit you in the eye? What exactly happened there in your mind?
Well, I threw a right hand, and he was swinging. He missed with a shot, and his elbow caught me. How in the eye, something that happened my first battle wound.
Now, Evander, in your eyes, did you need a knockout to keep yourself as really the top dog in the heavyweight division against Larry Holmes? Does it hurt you that you didn't knock him out?
I don't think so. It's a matter of opinion on other people's part. I fought a smart fight. I went out there, and I didn't push myself to the point where I'm going to get very reckless and careless because I knew that he was fighting a defensive fight, and it's hard to actually take a guy out with a defensive fight. I tried a lot of different things. I tried to let him come on, let him swing the shot, make the shot glance, and try to counter. But he was able to recover quick and go back to the road and use the rope shot and defensive weapon.
Now, let me ask you another question here, Evander. Did he hit you with some right hands? How did they affect you? You seem to take them very well. Is it that you got a great chin, or is his punch just isn't as effective as that right hand as we might have thought?
Well, he threw some good right hand, but I seen the right hand coming as I was able to turn with a lot of punches, so I wasn't able to get everything home on the punches.
Excuse me, Evander, and thank you for answering that question. Let me ask Lou Duva. Lou, was there a time in that fight where you were concerned about Larry Holmes because he was doing quite well in the earlier rounds?
No, I was never concerned about him. The only thing I was concerned about was the cut, keeping the cut under control, which we did. It's the first time he's ever been cut, and he stood up like a champ.
That's right. Some guys, they can get cut and they can fold.
He never got excited about that. We just did our job and brought him along.
Lennox Lewis is going to be fighting, from what I understand, Razor Ruddock. What's the next challenge for Evander? And, of course, you got the two old guys out of the way, Larry Holmes, George Foreman. What's really up in store for Evander? Who's the tough guy you're going to meet next?
Well, we'd like to fight Razor Ruddock, Lennox Lewis, but especially we'd like to fight Riddick-Bowe. That's the guy we'd like to fight. But if that don't work out, we'd be glad to fight the winner of Ruddock and Lennox Lewis. No problem.
Well, Evander Holyfield certainly has the opportunity since you're still world champion. Evander, good luck to you in the future. And back to you, Len ringside.
All right, thank you, Joe. So what you can glean from those comments is that Lou Duva and Evander Holyfield less concerned about what Larry Holmes did to them throughout the night, but very concerned about that cut. And Ace Murata did the job on it, and as Evander Holyfield phrased it, my first battle wound. He has never been cut before, and he was cut here tonight. But he still gained that 12-round decision. Of course, now all the same critics will say he could not put Foreman away. Now he could not put Larry Holmes away. But the bottom line, again, about Evander Holyfield is all he does is win. Let's go back into the ring and Joe Goosen.
All right, I've got the challenger tonight. Larry Holmes came up a little short. A little bit more than a little bit short on some of the scorecards. Larry, you fought a tremendous defensive fight, and you had some real flashes of brilliance, some great right hands. It seemed like you faded a little bit towards the end as far as your offense was concerned. I know Don Turner was encouraging you to fight more, and at the end you said in the last round you needed a knockout. Summarize the fight for me if you can.
Well, he didn't follow my plans.
which, you know, that's the right thing to do. He fought a good fight, a smart fight, and he's stronger than I thought he would be. And he didn't tire like I thought he would. So, you know, he's got my support. He's a great champion, and I think he can go a long way.
Now, Larry, did you accomplish more tonight than you might have thought, or did you think that you fell a little short, that you really could have won that title tonight?
I thought I could win it. He was doing the things that I wanted him to do earlier, and he followed that plan, then he got off of it. You know, you can't take nothing from the guy. The guy's a tough fighter, and he wanted that championship, you know, no matter what people say about him. He's a great champion, and I just want to thank Holyfield for giving me the opportunity, Bob Arum and my wife for helping me out, going along with it. And I want to say to all the fans around the world, hey, thank you for the support. I gave it my best, and we're going to go home and get on my boat and go fishing.
Now, Larry, in my estimation, you look like you could have beaten a lot of the top 10 guys, or at least a few of the top 10 guys in the heavyweight division. And keeping that in mind, does that mean that you might go on and continue to challenge maybe some of the other guys and try for another shot?
Starting all over again. It's really rough, y'all. Real rough. So what I want to do is relax, not say anything about anything as far as going on or whatnot. You know, I'm 42 years old. And we just want to relax a little bit. You know, we had a good year and a half in this comeback, and I accomplished a lot. These young lions out there is not fighting anyone. And let me tell them all right now, they better be ready when they go in the ring with Evander Holyfield, because
now we've got Roberto Duran here. Is Roberto coming in to challenge you for the heavyweight title? What's going on here with Roberto?
Only in a bar or over a beer. I hope he
What's up?
All right. My friend is a great champion, and you know, we both do what we have to do.
Let me finish by saying that we have Bob Arum, Larry Holmes, the promoter here. Bob, would you like to finalize the night by saying something?
I think it was a gallant effort, and I'm behind Larry, whatever plans he has. But the fight that I would like to make and the public would like to see is let the young guys fight the young guys. Let's have the senior heavyweight championship of the world, Big George against Larry Holmes. For all the marbles, it's probably the biggest fight that's out there.
And why not? You put the Duran, Hagler, Hearns senior tour together, and that was one of the more exciting tours.
All right.
Thank you very much.